Are we recording? Is what I'm asking.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm recording. I started
Okay.
recording when I did the 1, 2, 3 thing.
Oh,
Like,
okay. Well, hello, everybody.
man. I watched some of the first episode just to check to see, the quality of content.
Yeah,
Hasn't changed. Hasn't changed.
good. I'm glad we haven't learned anything in the past however long.
Yeah. Okay, welcome everybody to episode 2 of our yearly podcast, the Ultra Deep podcast. It's been like 7 months, I think, since the last one. I was just looking at. I think it was April that the last one came out.
That's not so bad.
I think it was the beginning of April, like April 4th, so closer to 8 months actually. So not great. I think we originally wanted this to be a monthly podcast. So
Oh, I think we were thinking about weekly at
what were we thinking
first.
about week? Well, we failed on that. I mean,
Podcasts are hard.
let's say we plan for yearly podcasts and that we're ahead. That's what I'm gonna go with. We're
Oh
ahead.
yeah.
We're ahead 4 months. So that's pretty good. Way to go. Good teamwork there.
Good for us.
As always, I'm Andrew.
I'm Dylan. Hello.
Yeah, see, it took him a second, but he got it eventually. I feel like Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say you can't see my villainous glare towards you right now.
Oh yeah, no, that's fair. I was thinking you look more like a cartoon character when they're thinking really hard and they're like steam's coming out their ears. You're like, "What's my name again?" So that episode,
the gears were cranking.
yeah, it's that episode of SpongeBob where all he knows is fine dining and breathing. That was you there. That's what I
That's
see.
all I know.
Yeah, I mean, all right. I hope any listeners we have, about said viewers, but I mean, there's no video with this really. There's a looping GIF actually, so enjoy.
We did this last time.
Yep. But I hope everyone here loves references to SpongeBob because that's 90% of the content. Millennials. I can't believe them.
Pretty spot on.
Yeah.
That's us.
Yeah, we are. We're at the very end of millennials, depending on who defines it. But we also live in Kentucky, so that's like 10 years in the past. So we're actually like a baby boomer, I think. I think that's how that works.
Wouldn't it go the other way?
No.
Wouldn't that make us... technically, okay, so I was looking into this the other day. We're on that cusp, right? Depending on where you look at it. Born in the beginning of 96. We're like the youngest millennials, or the oldest, was it Gen Z?
No, I think we're the youngest. Yeah, no, yeah. No, you're right. I'm stupid. Ignore me. Damn.
Okay.
Damn.
Done.
I hate when I'm stupid on recording. I just hate it because I'm like, I know I have the power to delete that, but I really shouldn't because, being stupid's funny. But damn it, I hate it. Go ahead, what you saying?
Content, bro, content.
Yeah, content.
I don't remember.
Youngest millennial, oldest Gen Z is where you were going.
Something like that, yeah.
Was that your point? You done that? We're on the cusp.
Yeah, we're on the cusp. It's
that
semantics.
It's all semantics. So that doesn't bother me all that much. The other thing that we live on the cusp of that has a real influence on our lives is the fact we live on the line for time zones.
Yeah, that is a big impact.
That's a huge impact, especially since, part of the county is like, hey, you know what? I'm going to be on a different time zone, which I want to point out. I'm pretty sure you're in that part of the county.
I am.
Yeah, wanted to be on a different time zone. Very confusing.
Yeah, so the way that we differentiate between the two time zones, it's Eastern and Central, right?
Yep.
Eastern Standard Time and then Central.
Well, it depends.
The way that we...
hold on. I'm going to get into... So, it depends on the time of the year because of daylight savings time. So, it's Central Standard Time right now, but during the summer, it's Central Daylight Time. So, it changes. And I assume Eastern Standard Time does the same. It's probably Eastern Daylight Time. Go ahead with what you're saying. I just had to get that off my chest.
Oh, okay. Either way, the way that we differentiate between the two here is slow time and fast time because it's an hour difference. So while the entire county is on the slow time side of it, which that would be Eastern, yeah?
No, that's Central. The whole county's on Central, yeah.
But Where I live, uh, it is on the far right, I guess the far
East. Yeah.
east side of the county. I was gonna say right, but
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking
far
at a
east of
map,
the county.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's we. The
we
W's on the left, E's on the right.
West.
West, yes.
So we all call it fast time here, and um, slow time, fast time, whatever. The part that I'm in isn't even on. It's right next to the line, but the line doesn't cross through here. So it's probably about actually from where I live, it's about 5 minutes before the uh time zone changes. Like if you're driving down 60, which is like the main highway through
Yeah, see the thing,
the
it's a
county.
it's a really jagged line because like a
Mhm.
state can decide not to be in it. Like Indiana, which is directly north of us.
Yeah,
They can decide because their state border is really close to the line, so they as a state can decide whether they want to be in the time zone or not. But
right,
Kentucky is wide. It's not tall, it's wide. It's like Tennessee. I mean, I don't know if people know what Kentucky looks like. It's just kind of wide. So we split
right.
the state in half. Half of it's on central and half of it's on western. Or eastern. I don't know why I
Eastern,
said west. If we were on western, that'd be
Western.
western. Uh, yeah. I was always told as a kid that you guys were on an hour ahead because most people worked out of the county. That's what I was
Yeah,
always told. I don't know
yeah.
if that's
A lot of
true or just something people explained. Oh wait,
people, because in Irvington, most of the jobs are out towards the east, towards like Meade County, E Town, around, or even just Brandenburg. Because in Irvington, there's two gas stations.
Yeah, I'm like, you got the gas stations and the school, and I don't know of anything else there.
There's a Subway. There's like the sandwich place. There's a grocery store, which is IGA, and then there's a Dollar General.
There's
That's
also
it.
there's also a restaurant there, isn't there?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I forgot about that. Green Valley, but
Yeah,
that a lot of just like kids
yeah.
work there,
Yeah,
and
we
then
knew people in school who worked there. I mean, when we were in high
yeah,
school, so
and there was a couple other like little places that come and go.
yeah. But I mean, there's not enough there to support the entire town. So obviously, a large amount of the
Mhm.
town works outside of the town, and
Yeah,
they go east because our county is very very rural. I mean,
yeah. There's jack shit here.
if I got my front door, there's a field in front of me. To my left, there's a field. There's just fields. Like my house is. It used to be a field.
Mhm.
So we grow a lot of corn here and soybeans and what's that other thing? Puts in cigarettes. Fucking
Tobacco.
tobacco. I wanted to say marijuana. I'm like, nope, that's not. A lot of marijuana is grown here, but that's not legally yet.
Legal.
Hey, a couple weeks ago, Republicans trying to put forward a bill to decriminalize marijuana on a nationwide scale. So that's pretty
Ooh,
nice. It
I
does.
would. I'd
Yeah,
support that.
yeah. See, it's not the same as legalization. Decriminalizing just means that you wouldn't get in trouble for small amounts of marijuana, but you would still
Mhm.
get in trouble if you're shipping like a pallet or something, or if you're trying to
Right.
sell. If you're distributing, then you get in trouble. But just possession of a small quantity wouldn't be a problem anymore.
See, I think maybe that's how it should be. I don't know. I'm not gonna get into like the fine details of marijuana smoking. I'm not a smoker. I never have been. A lot of people assume that I am just by the way I look because I'm a skinny white guy covered in tattoos and piercings.
Yeah, yeah. Connections also, just
Yeah,
let's be very vague about this. I don't want the NSA, who's obviously listening to us right now, and then they're also going to watch the podcast because they're huge fans. I don't want to
you trans Wall Street.
Yeah, I don't smoke. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't
Mhm.
smoke marijuana. I don't drink. I'm known to have an occasional glass of wine, but I don't really do anything. I'm like, picture the nerdiest person you can, and then put on more anime, and then that's basically who I am. Yeah.
And then
So.
just a small hint of Mexican.
Oh yeah, just a hint. Really, just the mustache. Really, whatever you're picturing, just add a mustache. Like, not even like a sombrero, just a mustache. That's me, really. I don't really have anything going past that. If you've ever seen the meme of the kid going, you know what, I'm gonna say it. I don't care that you broke your arm. That's me. Just add a mustache, and that's me.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we talked about this last night, didn't we?
Yeah. It comes up in my head a lot. Anytime I see that meme, I'm like, damn it. Like
It looks just like you back in hardware, software.
Yeah, I mean, I have long hair now. I have very long hair. It's past 2 feet, I would say, at this point. Um,
Hell yeah, dude.
my audio, I think, is clipping. I should look into that. But other than that, I'm that guy. I didn't wear glasses in high school, but I do now wear glasses, so I guess I got that going.
You switched it up a bit.
Yeah. I always knew as a kid that I was going to end up with glasses because everyone on my mom's side of the family wears glasses. And my mom was always like, you're going to wear glasses one day. And I'm like, sure, whatever. And then,
Sure.
and now I have 4 monitors that I stare at all day. And I'm like, this is probably fine for my eyes. It's 4 in the 8 or 4 a.m. I was about to say 4 in the a.m.
Yeah.
It's 4 a.m. and I've been looking at the screen for 12 hours. It's not actually 4 right now. It's only 1:45. But wait,
did you say it's 1:40? It's 12:45.
It's 12:45. Ignore that. Look,
You're on fast time.
Look, you could probably even hear it in my mic. I turned my head to look at my clock, which I have on the wall because I like wall clocks.
Yeah.
And I just stared at the one as I said 1:45, even though I'm like, no, that's not right, Andrew. So you know how it is.
Speaking of glasses, I didn't get glasses till the 4th grade. Apparently, I've needed them my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see, 4th grade was almost over, and throughout my tiny little man life, I had horrible migraines, like constantly. Like I remember, I have so many memories of like my mom like holding me in bed as I'm like screaming, and she's got like this ice pack on my head, and I've taken so much medicine, and I'm like seeing dots and shit. Turns out I just needed glasses because I couldn't see. But I remember when I first got my glasses, my parents had no idea that I was blind because anytime that I go in there for the eye test, they'd be like, "All right, take your glasses off and read the biggest letter you can see." And I'm like, I know it's supposed to be an E. That's the big letter, but it's just a big black blob.
Yeah, I get that. In high school, I had perfect vision. 20/20 vision. Woo.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I had friends that wore glasses. Other people, and I'm like, I can't relate because I just have perfect vision. I don't know what it's like not to have perfect vision.
Mm-hmm.
But then my eyesight slowly deteriorated in my early 20s. I'm still in my 20s, but early 20s, it was deteriorating. And I noticed it when I was in a car, and I was looking at the car in front of us, and we were really close, just traffic stopped in the road. And I'm like, damn, I can't read that license plate. And I'm like, I'm looking at the stop sign. I'm like, I know it says stop, but I can't read it. I think my eyes might have gotten worse. And then I did nothing about it for a year. And I'm like, damn, I really can't see anymore. So I went I'm like, hey, and I think I need glasses. And I'm like, all right, what's this chart thing? And actually, it's not a chart anymore. It's pretty nice. I was in a really small room.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a mirror in front of me. And then behind me, there's like a TV that they put words up on backwards so that you can see it in the mirror. And it like doubles the length of the room because they just have really small room. And I'm like, that's awesome. I love smart people. And I'm like, yeah, I can't read that. I'm like, I think it's a E or whatever, a Q, but it could be something else. I'm like,
right.
And they're like, yeah, no, you know good eyes. And they put me, they're like, okay, open your eyes and look in this machine. And they're like, okay, don't blink, but it's going to shoot air in your eye. And I'm like, what do you mean it's going to shoot air? And then I blink because it shoots air in my eye. And it's just awful. I hate it. I hate that machine.
Yeah, it's just the...
Yeah, they're like... And then I finally got the reference. They're like, 1 or 2. 1 or 2. And I'm like, I get it now. They make fun of this on TV shows all the time.
I remember being, in the 4th grade. What does that make me, like 9 or 10? I think 9.
I was 5 in kindergarten, so yeah, let's go with 9.
Sure. And I didn't know what the billboards were a thing until I got my glasses. I was like, whoa! And then I saw like power lines are a thing.
I like the thought of you being like just super blind, and you're like, what the fuck are stars, guys? Like, is that just made up? Like, what the fuck are stars? And you go out at night and it's just a pitch black sky because you can't perceive any of the stars. That's what I'm picturing in my head.
Well, see, that's pretty much how it was. It was like there was, I mean, when I was younger, I lived in the middle. I wouldn't call it a city by any means, but I lived around a bunch of street lights, so there's a lot of
Yeah.
light pollution, so you can't really see it anyway.
No, yeah.
And then so I never questioned it. There were just so many things that I never questioned because I didn't think about it. Because when I was 9 or 10, I was so focused on like just
Masturbating.
drawing and master. What?
Wait, whoa. Hold on. Sorry, what were you saying?
I was gonna say I was just focused on like drawing and cartoons and superheroes and stuff. Like that was my life. I loved playing with Legos, and Legos were they were small and they were in front of me and I could see them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You sound really far away.
Yeah, sorry. I'm messing with my audio on the fly. I apologize. I can tell that my audio is clipping in the recording, so I was just thinking if I could fix that. I'll fix it later. It's fine.
You can fix it in post.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't have anything like that as a kid because I could see fine.
Mm-hmm.
I have been a lifelong sufferer of acid reflux. So I remember as a kid,
Me too.
I'm like, is it normal to feel like there's something eating my stomach out? Like, is that fine? And like, oh, it's just heartburn. And that never made sense to me because I didn't have like the burning sensation in my chest. It was in my lower stomach. And I'm like, I don't know. That doesn't really seem like heartburn to me. That seems like acid trying to dig through my intestines. And like, no, it's fine. But it would just like keep me up at night. And it was just awful. I had the worst heartburn as a kid. But then luckily I've grown up and I've just lost my acid reflux over time. Like, it doesn't affect me as much at all anymore.
I had which I had severe anxiety even as a kid.
Yeah.
But I live in one of those. I don't know. I come from I guess you would call it a broken home, but that doesn't sound nice. I mean, it wasn't bad. My parents were divorced when I was 6, so I was in between houses, and my sister was 7 years older than me, and she was, by the time I was like 7, she was 14. So she's a 14-year-old girl who's like doing crazy shit. So my parents were more focused on her. So I kind of stayed to myself when I was in my room. I had my PS2 and I was sitting 1 foot away from my TV trying to play San Andreas.
All right, quick question. Your TV, big cathode ray tube TV, like super thick guy? Is that what it looked like?
I mean, I don't think it was a cathode ray.
I
guess
I had cathode ray tube TVs for a long time.
I mean, it was really thick TV.
Long time.
I thought cathode ray tubes were like they were the old ones.
No, they're still in like the big thick ones. When I say thick, I mean like like a foot. But I was using them until I probably still had one until high school. I would bet.
I think I did too.
It's just everyone had cathode ray tube TVs, and then someone would buy a new TV, LED, LCD, whatever. They're like, you want this cathode ray tube TV? No one actually says that because no one actually knows the name of technologies. I'm just a nerd. And I'm like, yeah, sure. It was cheap, easy to get. You're like, my kid can use one or whatever. And then that's just what happens. Ooh,
you want this chunk?
They are really chonky. And they're super heavy. Like, if you've never touched a cathode ray tube TV and you're just used to flat panel TVs, those are super light. You can lift up a flat panel TV, even like a large one, with one arm if it wasn't for its awkward shape. But these guys, you're putting your whole body into it if it's very big at all.
Oh, for sure. I know I had one when I was in high school. And it seems like oh God, we're so old. But if you think about it, like they were already pretty like heavy and like flat screens were a thing when we were in high school. It's just like where we're from, like nobody had one.
No one had one.
It's not as like a kid or as a teenager. Like you don't give your teenager a flat screen TV back then. Everybody had the living room had the flat screen, and then in the kids' room I had the shitty little fucking bitch TV.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I've had a tube go out in my TV before. So the cathode ray tube can break slowly. So the image gets more and more distorted, like as the magnets start to fail. And it's just really weird. And then it took about 2 days for it to fail completely. Just like the side of the screen slowly started coming in, and I'm like, that's not right. And then over the next 2 days, it just turned into a solid white beam in the very center. And I'm like, it was just a solid dot in the center. I'm like, that doesn't seem right. whatever. And then in high school, I'm like, oh, that's good to know that the thing is shooting radiation at you constantly, and the only reason you don't die from it is that there's a lead covering on the glass. I'm like, that's sick.
That is pretty sick, though.
This stuff is pretty metal, I gotta say. Literally, it had lead in it. It's pretty metal.
I remember I had for a little bit. You remember those giant fucking TVs?
A projection TV?
Yes, I had one of those in my room as a kid, and it went out. I probably only had it for like 2 months before it died because it was a piece of shit anyway. Because the color distortion was ridiculous, and I could barely see anything. But I thought it was so cool because it was just fucking huge.
Yeah, I mean, big stuff.
Awesome.
Big stuff is cool. As a kid, you're like fucking sweet, and then you get older and like, man, the resolution on this is shit. I can't read a thing.
It was garbage. I remember trying to play games on it. Oh my god. And it barely fit in my fucking room because I think once I turned 10, they were like, all right, you move into the basement now. And I'm like, okay. I was like downstairs in the creepy little fucking tiny room. And all I had in there was like a futon and a TV. And I could barely fit in there by myself.
As a kid, I so dreamed of having a basement room. Because, like you said earlier, that you've had anxiety your whole life. I've had anxiety my whole life, too. And I just didn't know what was happening. But I was deathly scared of tornadoes. Because, we live in a part of the U.S. that frequently sees tornadoes. We're on the eastern edge of Tornado Alley. So we see tornadoes quite a lot. So I was deathly afraid of storms when I was young. I love storms now. I go out and sit on my front porch like an idiot now when it's storm.
Me too.
The Midwestern and Eastern thing to do. But when I was a kid, I was terrified of it. I'm like, I wish we had a basement that I could just live in and never come out of. Because, I'm one of those people. It would have been so nice.
I remember being a kid. I was afraid of everything.
I had terrified.
I don't think I ever slept. I didn't sleep a whole lot as a kid because I remember I would stay up all night thinking like, okay, are all the windows locked? Are all the doors locked? Is somebody going to get in here? I feel like if I close my eyes, somebody's going to know, that we're all asleep and they're going to break in here and they're going to steal our stuff or they're going to hurt us or whatever. Yeah. And that was like I'm like fucking 8 years old. And like, that's my thought process is like, somebody's going to break in here and fucking kill me.
This isn't a battle of one umpsman on who had the worst anxiety. But my two biggest things as a kid, first off, when I was growing up, we had a huge ash tree in the front yard, and I was constantly afraid it was going to fall in the house and kill everyone in it.
Me too.
It was a huge fear I had. But my biggest fear, the thing that kept me up at night the most, I'm like, the sun's going to blow up in 5 billion years. I don't know what to do. I don't know if I'm ever going to financially recover from this. I didn't actually say that last part, but I was just like, but it would keep me up at night. I'm like, 5 billion years is all the Earth has got. I mean, that's it. Then we're all dead. And I'm like, I'm gonna be dead anyway. And I'm like, oh damn, I'm gonna be dead anyway. And then I existential dread. I'm a 6-year-old laying in my bed with my Pikachu stuffed animal because I loved Pikachu as a kid. And I'm like, fuck, we're all gonna die. Eternal doom. We're all eternal darkness. And I'm like, that's not something that's not something that a 6-year-old should be concerned with. But it was like all I thought about as a kid.
Right. And then like back then, like my family didn't go to church when I was a kid. Like my mom goes now, like with the grandkids and all that. Like she's very into the Jesus, which is fine. I mean, to each their own. But back then, I had no sense of like religion or what would happen when you die. All I knew is that when you died, you were gone. Like that's it. You're gone.
You're gone.
So I would think about that. Like I didn't want to die. I was so afraid of death. And speaking of the tree in the front yard, I didn't think about the tree falling over because we were surrounded by trees at my mom's house. And I would think about them falling over and crushing the house and like that scared the shit out of me. But one time the big tree in the front that was like already rotting from the core got struck by lightning.
Oh, nice.
And so the whole like I can go there to this day. And the whole side of that is just, it's burnt and missing and it hasn't grown back. And it's just got this like lightning streak in the side of it. And like, I never let that go. So as soon as I got moved into the basement, my fear switched to like, okay, I'm in the basement. Somebody's going to come down here and kill me.
See, if I was in the basement, I'm like, I'm going to drown to death. That's what's going to happen now.
That
it's going to fill with water.
Constantly.
See, where I lived, we had trees, just a bunch of trees. There was trees in our backyard too, but it was always the front yard tree that got me because the front yard tree, it was a massive tree, right? It was just
Mhm.
really really big. And my aunt lives in that place now, and that tree is still massive. It's probably, I would say it has probably a 3 to 4 foot diameter on the
Oh
trunk,
damn.
and then it's probably 40 foot tall or so, and it just has a massive. It's just massive. It's really really big. I'm really impressed with the tree actually. I'm a bit proud of it. But
Good job, tree.
it's weird. I weirdly have a sense of like connection with that tree for some reason. I don't know why.
You
But
could have killed me, but I'm happy you're big.
but its roots come out of the ground, which was a pain in the butt to mow. Let me tell you. But its roots
Yeah.
are on the surface, like the top layer of them, and I'm like, that means its roots are really shit, and it's gonna fall over.
Mm-hmm.
It's what I was always thinking. The tree in the backyard, though, I don't know if it's the specific kind of tree or if this tree was just a dumbass. But
Yeah.
instead of growing a single trunk, it has like 8 trunks that came off of it.
Mm-hmm.
It just immediately
That's
split
weird.
upon coming out of the ground. So obviously we put metal in it, like metal rods. Like
As you do.
we shove shit in there all the time just to do it. And now there's a metal rod just encased in wood inside the tree because the trees
cool,
continue
though.
to grow and it's completely surrounded. Across the street from where I lived as a kid was
Mhm.
where my mom grew up. And my mom, she lived on a farm as a kid, so they owned a bunch of land there. And you know, you're bored back in the 70s and 80s, so you find a young tree and you put a tire around it, and you're like, in 30 years that tire is gonna be wrapped around a tree. So there's just a
Right.
tree on the farm that at the base has a tire in it.
That's
Just
so
because-
cool, though.
It's it's just weird stuff like that.
I'm still digging up on my childhood fears. Like, I didn't get any sort of like help with my anxiety until I think I was 18. I just there was so much shit I was afraid of.
There's, I mean, it's as a kid, you're scared of a bunch of stuff just because you don't understand it. Like I was
Yeah.
terrified of meteorologists because I thought there were meteors coming towards the planet. I now understand that they're just weathermen, but a meteorologist, I'm like, fuck, he must work with a lot of meteors.
He studies meteors.
He's a meteorologist. I mean, I don't know what he's doing on this news channel talking about the weather right now. He seems like he has more important things to worry about. Like
He's got to worry about
meteors.
all these meteors heading towards us.
Yeah, I mean, like, have you never seen the movie Armageddon? I mean, come on.
With
Get
Bruce
on that.
Willis.
With Bruce Willis, directed by the guy who does Transformers now. What's his name? Michael Bay. Yeah. Michael Bay.
For some reason I was like James Cameron, but that's not right.
No, that's not right.
That's the blue people.
Yeah, Avatar. It took me a second. Oh, okay. Hold on. I need to bring up a few things. Quick fire round, real quick.
Okay.
I think we're approaching the 30-minute mark in like 5 minutes or so. So 30
That's
minutes.
fine.
You were talking about lightning striking your tree.
Uh-huh,
When I
uh-huh.
was a kid, I had a friend over. We were sitting
Mhm.
on the sofa. It was storming. Lightning hit the power line outside of our house and blew up all the light bulbs in the house. And I
That's
got
sick as
covered
fuck.
in glass.
That's
And
dope.
it was, it's, I have all my memories from my childhood still. I didn't lose them. There's a thing that happens when you hit 12 or 13 that you lose a bunch of your memories from when you were younger. But I still have all mine.
I remember a lot.
My sister doesn't remember anything until she's like 16. She has a horrible memory. But I remember everything. I remember being like 3 or 4 walking through my kitchen, and we had like an overhang thing, and I
Mhm.
was really short as a kid. I was super short. So
As
I
most
w-
kids are.
no, I mean like until I was like 8, I was like under 2 foot. Like I was really short as a kid.
Oh, tiny little Andrew.
I was very small. I was very small and very skinny as a kid, and I got rid of that by getting fat. So I was then short and fat, and then in 8th grade I finally got taller. But I was like walking under like the overhang in our kitchen, just because I
Mhm.
was so short, and I just remember doing that as a kid, and it's just so weird. That I've gotten off topic. I don't remember what else I was gonna do. We're doing a fire round.
Oh,
quick fire
okay.
round.
I have something.
Go ahead.
So, when talking about all these like childhood fears and all these things, like I said, I've unpacked a lot of things in the past 5 minutes, and I remember specifically, I was very afraid of the dark as a kid because I know right after my parents got divorced, I lived with my dad for a while, and I remember watching like a bunch of scary movies because my dad like loved scary movies. Like, so I that's pretty much all we had. I remember watching it as a small child, and that like
Good movie.
terrified me for life. Yeah, I mean, like as an adult now, I'm like, yeah, it's pretty good. Like I've watched the remake. I thought it was great,
Hmm. Don't
but I
watch the
used
TV
to.
series. It's not very good.
I, there's a TV series.
Yeah, there's a TV series that came out before the original movie about it.
Oh,
Don't
that
watch it.
doesn't
It's not
sound
very
very
good.
good.
It's not very good.
Anyway, I remember being afraid of the dark because I would constantly think about like I could like picture these grotesque monsters like coming out in like my closet and under the bed and and not even like the safety of like I didn't have that like, oh, I'm under the blankets, they can't get me. Now it's like I'm under the blankets, now they can see the bulge in the blankets and they know exactly where I'm at. So what does it matter? But so I would leave like pretty much. I know I had my TV on, and then I had a lamp next to my bed that I kept on. So like there was no darkness in my room at all. But I would put my TV onto QVC. Do you know what QVC is?
Yeah,
It's like a
yeah, I do.
woman's shopping channel.
Yeah, it's a channel where they're like, you got 20 minutes to buy this item. We went, and they're just selling shit all the time on QVC.
Yeah, yeah, dude,
Yeah,
it was awful. So and I would have nightmares like constantly, like at least twice a week minimum. I would wake up in the middle of the night with a nightmare. So a lot of my nightmares involved the voices of the ladies of QVC. And there's this one specific nightmare that I would have constantly. Like I even have it now as like as an adult. It's I can't even explain the visuals of it, right? I know I'm like in this you ever played Rocket League?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So in Rocket League, there's this one the stadium, I guess, where it's in it's like in a train station. You know what I'm talking about?
Uh huh.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, those of you who are listening, you got to look it up. It's the best visualization. So essentially, I'm like in the little clock tower in the train station, going back and forth. But I'm not a person. I'm a ball, and like I'm feeling like inflated and deflated at the same time, and I'm like pulsing. And I'm going back and forth, and I'm in this train station, and everything around me is like it's just like spiky and crazy, and I'm like there's nothing makes sense, right? But every time I hear the stupid QVC ladies in this stupid nightmare where it like there's no it's all abstract except for the train station. And it's the weirdest fucking shit.
You were talking about the QVC ladies, and in my head, I was just sitting here laughing to myself, thinking about you dressing up as Halloween as a kid. And you're like, Dylan, what are you? I'm QVC lady. And I'm like, why the fuck are you a QVC lady? It's like, you don't understand. Like, you
You want to buy a porcelain cat?
yeah, you don't get it. I mean, it's the most terrifying thing ever. My
You don't understand. You just got to be me, dude.
mm-hmm. My single biggest fear. Again, you've unpacked, I've unpacked everything I bring up so far. Death, terrifying. But my single largest fear is being slowly followed. They made a movie about it called It Follows, where there's like a sexually transmitted demon or something that followed people really slowly.
Oh yeah.
That's my biggest fear in life. Not having sex. That's not it. It's the being followed part. And I can tell you why I have this fear. I can point to the exact reason I have this fear. There's I think it's a PlayStation game. It's a Scooby-Doo game. And inside the Scooby-Doo, the very first part of the game, because there's like several different parts, it reenacts an episode of Scooby-Doo. I forget what it's called. I think the name of the episode is A Knight's Night or something like that. They go into a museum and there's a living suit of armor that's like kidnapping people or something. It's based off of that episode. And in the game, you would go into the Egyptian room and you would walk down the hallway, and at the end is an Egyptian sarcophagus, and it would open up and the knight would be in there, and then it would follow you. And it would just, from that point on in the level, you could hear the clanking of the armor, and the knight would slowly follow you.
Oh.
And that sent my anxiety through the roof. I could not beat that level because I could not stand it when I was being followed by the knight.
Oh, bro, we should play that Alien game that came out not too long ago.
Alien Isolation? That game?
Yeah, let's play that.
No. I refuse. I don't have a huge problem with some horror games, like not Left 4 Dead, Resident Evil games. None of those really scare me. Jump scares, pain in the butt. I don't like jump scares, but it's whatever. If something's following me though, like Alien,
Yeah.
I don't like having to hide from shit.
That's the worst. Like Outlast.
Yes, Outlast. I can't. I'm not touching those. I'm willing to admit I'm a baby, and I just don't play those games. I also don't play any horror games in VR because I have the VR headset, and I don't play VR. I don't play horror games for 2 reasons. Number 1, I'm a baby. We already covered this. Number 2, I don't want to break my headset when I fall on the ground and die or faint, and I don't want to smash my headset on the ground.
See, that makes me want to play the scary VR games, because like when I play scary games, specifically like Outlast or Resident Evil, those are the ones that I like in my head when I think about them. That I was like, that's got to be like the scariest shit, right? But the idea of it is way scarier than the gameplay could ever be. So it's always I've understood that, like, oh yeah, it's totally in my head. And I feel like if I play it in VR, that's where I'm gonna get the scare. That's where I'm going to receive the intended like atmosphere for said video game. Because when you're playing it, on a controller on a TV, like there is that separation, that differential between yourself and the character in the game. But in that VR, like that's you, dude.
Yeah, I have 2 points to make here. Number 1 is when you're playing a horror game, if you're not in like the horror, like, I don't know, I want to say mood, but it's like if you're not in it to be like scared or whatever, some games just won't scare you. Like you're like, oh, I can see that this is supposed to be scary, but I'm not in the mood for horror right now, so this isn't scaring me.
Yeah.
And number 2 is even non-horror games are sometimes fucking terrifying in VR. Because there's a game, Arizona Sunshine, which has zombies in it, right? Which I guess you can say it's a horror game, but it's really a wave defense shooter. You're supposed to shoot the zombies before they reach you.
Right.
But sometimes you're doing fine, and then you turn around, and like you see a zombie coming at you, and you're reloading, and the zombie gets right up in your face, and it's like, you're invading my personal space, and you're freaking me out, man.
Right, yeah.
And it's just terrifying. Or like, puzzle games. I love puzzle games. I play puzzle games all the time. But there's a puzzle game I have. Budget Cuts is the name of it. And you're just trying to get through this level. And I can't finish the last level because the last level has the lights off. And I can't convince myself it's not a horror game. Like I'm like, this isn't a horror game, Andrew. And I try to play it. And I get 2 minutes into the level. I'm like, nope, can't do it. Can't do it. It's really dark in here. What if something jumps out and scares me? And it's just, I can't beat the game because it's dark in the final level. If I mod the game and just turned on the lights, I'd be fine. But I'm not scared of the dark. I don't have any fear of the dark at all. But
now that I'm older, I don't either.
Even as a kid, I didn't. I've never been scared of the dark. But that level, for some reason, it's the VR thing. Like, it's stuff popping up in your eyes in VR is absolutely terrifying.
Oh, I believe it.
It's just, even now thinking about it, I can feel my heart rate going. I'm like, fuck, it's got me, and I'm not even doing it.
I know. Oh shit, what was I gonna say? Okay, so I spend a lot of like my free time with like Kylie and Nora. Like them's my friendos, and they love watching horror. They like horror. They like American Horror Story. They loved all of the
Basic white women. I get it.
The Conjuring. Yeah, pretty much.
They're like, you ever seen Paranormal Activity? It's pretty good.
Ooh, it's not.
It's not. It's really shit.
But the first one was pretty alright.
Yeah, it was okay.
It had that low budget, like there was a lot of like love and care in it, but after that it was like one of those sleeper hits that like, oh, now we got to make $1 million, and they're all shitty.
Yeah,
after
that. The better found footage movie is the one where the 3 guys have like telekinesis. Main guy's name is Andrew, and it has what's his name? Is it Michael B. Jordan who played the guy?
Michael B. Jordan, yeah. Chronicle.
Yeah, Chronicle, yeah, that's it. Chronicle is the better found footage movie. Watch it and just pay attention to the detail they put into the camera work in that movie. It's just it's a masterpiece of directing.
I love.
Go ahead with what you're saying. They even have Legos in that movie. What's not to love? What were you saying about your basic white women though?
Oh yeah. My basic white women friends. So they love watching horror. So I watch it with them, because when I'm hanging out, they're like, oh, let's watch a movie, and then we watch a scary movie. I'm I don't know if it's just because like now that I'm older, but I know for a fact ever since I started taking medication for my anxiety and depression, like since I started Zoloft, I'm so fucking indifferent to like so many things. And one of them specifically is about like horror game or horror movies or whatever. So anytime like there's a jump scare or like there's that atmosphere of like, ooh, this is spooky, like I can get into it. I can be like, yes, this is good, but I don't feel a fucking thing. So I'll watch these movies with them, and the movie will be over, and they'll be like, we'll go about our day, and then it'll be. They always wanted to watch them in the middle of the day, but sometimes we would watch them at night. And I remember so many times I would like I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed, and I would sleep on the couch, and they'd sleep in the room together, and they'd be like, how do you do that? Like, how do you not feel anything? And
Yeah.
I guess it's just I always think it's because of my medicine. Because I remember there was a year of my life where I wasn't on it, and I watched Haunting of Hill House. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Dude, it's so good. It's on Netflix. Highly recommend. They got a sequel series, The Haunting of Bly Manor. Not as good, but it is what it is. I remember that terrifying the fuck out of me, when I was unmedicated. But now that I'm on medicine, I'm like, I don't feel anything ever.
Yeah, I can understand that. One of the first movies I remember watching is Jeepers Creepers,
Ooh,
which
good movie.
it's a good movie. Horror. I like the series. I mean, it's not the best movies, but there's something just nostalgic about it. And they released Jeepers Creepers 3 just a few years ago, and they're working on a fourth one, or maybe they released a fourth one. I don't know. I haven't kept up with it. And I
Hmm.
remember I was very young. I watched this movie probably when it came out, so I don't know how old I would have been. But I remember it terrifying me. And I was watching it with my aunt who went out to smoke, and I'm like, oh, fuck, she's dead. I'm like, you went outside when we're watching this movie about a bat guy who flies around taking off people's head. I'm like, she's dead. She's never coming
You're
back.
you're gone. See you later.
Yeah, I
Just
mean,
kidding.
whatever. I'll miss you, I guess. But now, now I I watched horror movies. I haven't watched one recently, but I remember just not caring as much. I'm also on medication for anxiety.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, it's whatever. I mean, it's a good movie, or it was probably a shit movie. I don't really remember, but it doesn't really stick with me.
Hmm.
Um,
Like after it's over, like I'm disconnected.
yeah, I
I,
I have problems getting into movies a lot of the time anyway. Like,
right.
you're watching a movie and someone dies, and they're like, oh no, that was a really important character. But I'm like, yeah, but it's a movie; they're not real.
Right. That's what I tell myself. Like I know there's this part in like the Haunting of Hill House. I'm not gonna like spoil it for those of you who haven't seen it, but a small child is their life is taken away, and
So, kids
it
dying does get to me. It does get to
yeah,
me.
it was a rough scene, but I remember when I watched it recent because I recently rewatched it with Kylie and Nora because Kylie had never seen it, and then I guess Nora never finished it, but that scene came on, and before it even played, I had like pulled up my phone and I had scrolled, and I found this little girl's Instagram, and I was like, here she is grown up, like look, she's okay. Because I feel like being medicated, you really are disconnected, and I think maybe it is easier to separate yourself, or maybe just the two people that I hang out with are able to like get into these types of things, so I don't know.
I think the problem is that growing up, we were, anxieties. It can be really rough sometimes. So you're always like on a really high level. So when you're on medication, that brings you back to that normal baseline that most people operate with. You're burnt out somewhat. You're just, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. Maybe it gives you a bit more perspective on stuff.
Yeah.
Going back to kids dying in media though, there's a trailer for the original Dead Island that always gets to me. It's like a family that's going on like
Oh, and it
vacation.
it plays in reverse. I know
It
exactly what you're
plays in
talking
reverse,
about.
and there's a little girl in it. And I just hate, like, it's a great trailer. Don't get me wrong, great
Oh
trailer. But
yeah,
I
it was
can't watch it.
beautiful.
I can't watch it because I'm like, no, I've always hated like a girl dying. That's tragic. But the thing that gets me even more is when like a family has planned something for a long time, and then it just gets absolutely ruined. Like, I don't
Hmm.
know why, but just like looking forward to something and then it turning out awful has a way bigger effect on me than other stuff.
Yeah, and you got like they're trying to like do something nice for their kids and go out and do stuff as a family, and then it gets ruined because there's zombies.
Yeah, I mean, like, um, this sticks in my head a lot because we live near where it happened. Like, I don't know, it's been like 15 years at Six
Uh-huh.
Flags in Louisville, which I'm pretty sure it's closed and it's been closed for like a decade now. They had a ride that was originally called the Elevator that was then renamed to the Superman Tower of Power or something like that.
Hmm.
And it was operating normally one day and a cable snapped and cut off the feet of a woman who was riding it, or a girl in her teens.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, she was probably looking forward to going to the theme park that day. And then
Right.
she rode a ride that broke and cut off her feet. Like, that's
Did
awful.
did she survive?
Yeah, she survived, and they even reattached one of her feet. She did lose the other foot, but they were able to medically reattach one of her feet.
I wonder if anybody caught him.
There's no one obviously underneath the machine because it's just a straight up tower. It just
Right.
goes straight up. I rode it actually when it was the elevator. It's not a bad ride. It wasn't, I guess, and it doesn't exist anymore. They tore it down after that. There were witnesses who said they saw a pair of shoes fall from the sky because that's all it would look like. Because it cut off her feet and she was wearing shoes, so anyone from the ground would just see a pair of shoes. I couldn't
Oh,
imagine.
she
I
was
couldn't imagine.
13 and it was in 2007.
Yeah, it's been like forever.
Yeah,
I
doctors
said
were
fif-
able to reattach her right foot, but not her left one. And some
I
of her
said
left leg was amputated.
I said it happened 15 years ago, and you said 2007, or
Yeah,
what
so
was
it's
it?
been 14.
14 years. I was pretty close. See, I told you, I got a rock solid memory when it
Oh,
comes
she's
to
she's
far away
27
events.
now.
Yeah, I mean, so she was only 2 years older, than us, and I couldn't imagine at 13 is what you said. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's rough, pretty rough. Bark, bark.
Sorry, I'm reading about it real quick. I'm like skimming through. I wonder if she has a Facebook. Okay. So here's what I've got so far. Um, as unfortunate as the situation was, at the bare minimum, they did reattach one of her feet, and they did. Some of her left leg was amputated, but the settlement that they got would be enough for lifetime care. So, I mean, they took care of her.
Yeah, I mean that's good, but on the whole, I mean, if someone's like, Andrew, I'll cut off your left foot and I'll give you $10 million, I might take that offer. But
Hmm.
I mean, it's definitely not worth the traumatic experience of having both your legs cut off and then living without your left foot and then part of your left leg. I don't know how much
Right.
they amputated, but I would assume probably
Oh,
being that she
damn.
got her feet cut off, she probably still has her knee or so, I would guess.
Yeah. She was
But yeah,
this is about to get worse. She was a softball and soccer player. And I described she described putting on weight from inactivity, being made fun of, having friends and boys treat her differently, and missing out on being a teenager. This is awful.
yeah. See, I mean, it's not worth the money. I mean, people might look at it and like, oh, look at the settlement she got or whatever. But she was active in sports, obviously, and she obviously lost a lot of time recovering. Because I assume there's probably a pretty substantial recovery time for having your foot reattached and then adjusting to, what are they called? A prosthetic. It takes a long time. It takes a long time to adjust to a prosthetic.
Yeah,
So,
that's fucked.
yeah. I feel like we got kind of dark there. I mean, I know we were talking about our fears the whole time, but that kind of
We
a dark
did.
bit there.
What the fuck did you do?
I'm sorry. Look, I just bring up a memory. It's fine. It's whatever,
Well, okay.
I think about that a lot. In fairness, I don't know why, but I do think about it a lot. I'm gonna end on a note that's also sad. I don't remember what amusement park this was, but I remember being very young, and as I've already mentioned, I was extremely short as a kid. and we were in the water park, and I like water park rides. I don't like roller coasters, not a roller coaster person, but I really like water rides.
Same.
I remember being too short for the log flume ride, and I remember that crushing my hopes and dreams that day. I bawled my eyes out because I couldn't ride that long flume ride because I was too short. It was really tragic.
You were a tiny kid. You said that
I was
earlier.
a tiny kid. Yeah, I was a tiny kid, so I was too short. Another day that crushed my hopes and dreams was the day I realized dinosaurs weren't real. Or not dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are real.
Dinosaurs are real, dude.
The day I realized...
Bring you back up.
Oh, man. See, I told you I'm an idiot. I hate when I'm an idiot in recording. The day I realized dragons weren't real.
Oh.
The day I realized dragons weren't real. Let me explain why I said dinosaurs there. Because the reason I realized dragons weren't real is because there were dinosaur bones. Right? And I'm like, dinosaurs are obviously real. We have their bones. But there are no dragon bones. So dragons aren't real. That was...
Bad times, bro.
I was pretty nerdy even as a kid. So when I was like 3 or 4, you know, my mom attests to this. I'm like, Mom, Santa's not real, right? And she's like, no, Andrew, don't tell your
fucking
sister.
Spoilers.
Sorry, if you believe in Santa, I'm sorry to ruin your day. But I never believed in Santa, Tooth Fairy, or any of that. Mm-hmm. But somehow dragons, I didn't realize dragons weren't real.
They crossed the threshold of believability for you. You're like, yeah, that's
because I'm like, dinosaurs are real, and dragons and dinosaurs are basically equal, if not for the fire breathing.
That's for sure.
When I realized fire breathing wasn't logical, that really crushed me. I was like 5, you know, so it's not like it went like 20 years or anything. It was only like another year before I realized, but it really crushed me. I was pretty disappointed that dragons weren't real. But now that I think about it, I probably, if dragons were real, as a kid with anxiety, that would have probably terrified me. So it's probably on the whole a good thing dragons aren't real. Maybe. So that's a good ending message. Dragons aren't real, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I tell you what. Let's end this on an even higher note. Do you want to go play some Halo?
G sharp? That's a higher note, right? Or is that a low note?
Do you want to play Halo?
No, I feel like you ignored my joke about the note there.
I did. Well, I went. I can't. I don't know what a G sharp is.
Oh no! See, your mic cuts out because it's too high. So it's, you know, it tries to balance out your mic too. It cuts it out there. I'll put a G sharp in.
Thank you.
Oh wait, no. Now that I think about it, G minor is really low because they're coming like a wrecking ball, and G minor is like really low.
Oh yeah, that is terrifying.
I actually like that version of the song a lot.
It is spooky though.
Okay, I thought of another thing I want to talk about real quick, and then we're gonna leave to go play Halo. So don't be surprised if they cut that real quick. As a kid, into my teens, I did not listen to music. I did not start listening to music until out of high school.
I remember.
But now I listen to music all the time. I just wanted to share that. I think it's weird that I wasn't interested in music at all, and now I'm interested in the music. In high school, I didn't read, but now I read constantly.
Yeah, for a long time, I thought that you could have been autistic.
Me? I still think I'm autistic. Every day I'm like, I might be autistic.
You might be. I don't know.
Yeah, I could be on the spectrum. I was tested repeatedly as a kid. Repeatedly. And they never came back for anything. But even today, I'm like, I think I have ADHD and I think I'm autistic. I think I'm just very high functioning. But I had a severe speech impediment as a kid. So no one could understand me. So everyone always thought I was autistic.
I've always thought the same thing about myself, but you know, from where we live, where we're at, I mean, you can't really get like.
No, I mean, yeah, especially 20 years ago when we were kids.
Yeah, I mean, we're too old now, considering where we live, and the resources that we have. But it is what it is. Yeah. I've learned to live with what I've got.
I've learned to live with what I got as well, except for my penis. I replaced that.
Get that shit out of here.
Yeah, get that shit out. Real thing though, you can get a replacement penis. There was like a guy who got his penis crushed or something like that, who got like a bionic penis. for like erections, but he had to go for during the healing process. It was like 6 weeks. He had to go with an erection for 6 weeks. That would just be awful.
I could do it.
I couldn't do it. I mean, God damn it. We need to end this podcast. But first, we're going to talk about in high school, going through puberty. Once a day, you're having an erection.
Oh, for sure.
At least.
It started for me. Middle school was the worst of it.
Yeah, just for no reason, you'll get an erection. There's a Ninja Sex Party, No Reason Boner song. It's exactly what it is. You just, sometimes you're like, that girl was hot, and you get an erection. Sometimes you're like, H2O is water, and you're like, why do I have an erection?
Why am I hard now?
It's like, doesn't make any sense.
It's like, you just be in the, it always happened to me in history right before lunch when we had to get up and go, like, whatever. And back then we were allowed to wear basketball shorts and stuff. So I remember like never wearing shorts because you always had to flip that motherfucker up.
Yeah. So we need to normalize a few things. We just need to make it normal because guess what? Everyone has genitals and everything. So the things we need to normalize is women don't have to wear bras and they don't have to shave like their arms and legs because I feel like that's unfair. Women with long leg hair and stuff like that, people consider gross. And we should normalize men having no reason boners. Like, we just don't comment on it. If there's a guy like jacking it in the corner, yeah, that's inappropriate, right? Stop that guy.
It's more of just like kids, because I feel like as an adult, like it doesn't really happen, you know.
You as an adult, you have a lot more control on erections. Like, I'm not saying you can turn it off and on, but you know, you have methods. Let's just say there are methods for handling an erection. If you for some reason get one. I just
feel like you need to people okay.
Also I know this is gonna be weird, but I had my first erection very, very young, as most boys do, and no idea what it is. No.
Yeah.
So
nobody fucking tells you.
Explain to your sex ed in the US sucks. My first sex ed class was when I was in 5th grade. And I had already figured most of this shit out just by being on the internet.
Yep.
We need to start sex ed a lot earlier. Really immediately. Like, as soon as your kid talks, pretty much, just set them down. Probably not that early, but pretty early. Sex ed needs to be early. And we need to make sure we tell people about both genders. Don't just tell your boys about boy stuff and your girls about girl stuff.
Yeah.
Tell them about both. Because I feel like a lot of people don't understand it, especially old white Republican people in Congress who are like, what are tampons for again? Like, we should really just make sure everyone knows.
Just to be sure.
Yeah. Really, everyone just should have a sex ed class. Like, let's just make, January 3rd. That's National Sex Ed class. And everyone just has to go to a sex ed class.
What the fuck are we talking about? I want to play Halo.
You know what's really good in Halo? Sex ed. They have sex ed every day in Halo. They even stop the battles to have sex ed.
Everybody sit down. We're going to talk about penises and vaginas.
Hey, Covenant, do you have 2 genders? I'm not sure. Because obviously, if you're a different species, I don't know how to explain, different tree of life, they may not have the 2 species, or the 2 genders.
2 sexes.
You know, 2 sexes, that's it. Yeah. Sexes and gender are different. Sex is the physical thing, and gender is more of a mental thing. Very complex issues. Let's not get into it now. Let's leave and go play Halo after I go pee.
Let's go play. I got to pee too. Okay. What a strange way to re-enter the ultra deep.
Yeah, it's pretty ultra deep, but I mean, we got pretty deep. We unpacked a lot of childhood fears. We talked about a bunch of shit. I made a joke that got cut. I almost made a second joke, but I said I didn't say it, so I'm just gonna leave that in.
And we rounded back to penises.
Yeah, we talked about penises. Yeah. If you've seen the hidden first episode, what was that website that you posted, the Dylan Loves You podcast or whatever? That's the hidden first episode. Spotify? Okay. So that's the hidden first episode. Then we have the actual first episode, which happened 7-8 months ago. And then this is episode 2 of our weekly, monthly, when's episode 3 being recorded?
Figure it out.
Okay, we'll try our best, but just we'll aim for yearly, and if we do better than that, way to go. And if we don't do yearly, well, we suck. I don't know what you want.
Get the fuck away from me.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Let's go ahead and I don't really know. How do we end this? Do we just
All
say
right, well-
bye? Do we plug ourselves? I don't really know what we do here. It's our podcast. We can do whatever I want, I guess. Whatever
Yeah.
we want. I don't know why I said I want.
We can do whatever you want. I don't know,
We
man.
can do whatever I want.
This is the end. Okay, thank you guys for listening. I appreciate all of the time that you've invested in us and listening to us talk. If anything has upset you, please feel free to let us know in a polite manner, and we can have a completely important and constructive conversation about said topic. Obviously, we're in the middle of nowhere, dude. I try to be as open and understanding as possible, but some things I'm just not going to be able to get, doing my own research. So if you feel like I or Andrew are misinformed, please feel free to let us know. Otherwise, I hope you had a great time. I think we did a lot of good talk, good convo, good subjects, and we'll be back for another one in 6 years. So
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with ignorance. It's when you're willfully ignorant that's a problem. So if you just don't know something, that's fine. Have someone explain it to you, and I hope you guys explain it to us when we're ignorant. I think that's the main thing Dylan was saying there.
we are openly super dumb.
Yeah, I mean, I've been stupid several times. Earlier, like 20 minutes ago, maybe less than that, I said dinosaurs didn't exist, so...
Yeah, I mean, you don't have that.
Anyway. Yeah, so inform us if we're ignorant. If you're a flat earther, though, the earth is a globe. Just get over it.
Just get out of here.
And check us out on our streams when we stream. Information will be below.
Yeah,
I decided to plug us.
That's fair. That's good.
Yeah, I mean,
okay,
why not?
Love you, bye.
Check out my YouTube channel, too. What do you do, TikTok or something? Check out his TikTok, too. I'm going to plug everything.
I do lots of stuff. I don't know what I do anymore.
We do lots of stuff. We're very busy people. That's why we can't record the podcast.
I just want to play Halo right now. That's all I can think of.
Total not because of Halo. It's totally Halo Infinite, guys. Check it out.
Check out Halo Infinite.
You think we can get Halo Infinite to sponsor us? We
have
like
Halo Infinite sponsorship.
We have like 4 subscribers. I think we can. I think we can get a Halo.
Hell yeah! I think
we can get a Halo.
Okay, end the podcast.
All right. Bye. Love you.
I love you. Bye.